Hey, how's it going? In the studio, we are going to take a look at the most recent findings. That would be India's 14 billion investment commitment to Nigeria, ready to give you the best returns, say President Bola Tinubu. So 14 billion is a lot of money. So let's delve a little bit deeper and try to understand what kind of sectors India is looking to support and what are sound and wise investments right now in the world. Myself, from I didn't knew no one nobody never told me that Nigeria. I'm not entirely sure if it's the first or second largest economy in Africa's continent, right? Ethiopia might be a first or second, so those two governments leading Africa's continent, right? So we're talking about a large investment to one of the top economies in Africa's continent. I'm gonna be taking a look at some of the articles and some of the information that I managed to find online, right? In a significant strike towards economic cooperation, Nigeria has obtained investment commitment totaling nearly 14,000 billions of dollars from various Indian companies as the Indian government. The Nigerian President Bola Tinubu aims to support development in the key sectors like steel, petroleum, power generation, and defense throughout these partnerships. Myself, if someone would ask me that perhaps there should be a lot of focus on energy production, if anything, as well as perhaps refinement of some of the resources. Perhaps production is a good place to start. From there, there should be more focus, right? In particular, with geolocation where Nigeria is currently based, there's a lot of opportunities. So they have a lot of access to natural resources. Perhaps they can focus a lot on when it comes to refinement of those natural resources and products, right? Nigeria has a large percentage of oil fields as well, so but they should focus a lot more on perhaps not necessarily just their own government, but supporting other local governments in the region, right? Indians heavyweight like Jindal Steel and Power have made significant investment commitments in Nigeria. Interesting. India's other companies like Tata Steel, right? And they have made massive investments in UK, if anything. So I'm not a gambling man, but someone's making their bets, right? So India's heavyweight like Hyundai making bets in Nigeria and Tata making its bets within UK's automotive and steel production industries. Jindal Steel, the company plans to inject 3 billion into Nigeria's steel industry, diversifying the West African nation's resilience on oil production. Indorama Corp, another Indian firm, intends to pour an additional 5 billion into expanding its existing petrochemical facilities in Nigeria. Oh, okay, so we're looking to perhaps increase. There's gonna be a downswing, right? If people are following what's happening with some of those nations currently when it comes to oil production, where some of those nations stop performing nations or with the nations corporations looking to reduce production of oil, which is kind of interesting. So while others reducing, perhaps other people would increasing. Would some analysts projecting that a barrel of oil will cost somewhere around $145, right? So it's never cost that much. So perhaps that would be a reasoning why they would look to do that, as well as we're talking about manufacturing of steel. Perhaps we're talking about pipes, right? And those pipes can potentially go to, I don't know, perhaps Europe, since there's a reduction of pipes coming from other places, right? So perhaps there's opportunities there and increase of development of some oil fields as well. Skippers Ltd and Bharti Enterprise have each pledged to invest 1.6 billion in Nigeria over the next 4 years. The funds will be primarily channeled into constructing power generating plants to strengthen Nigeria's energy infrastructure, which is good. I have noticed that they should myself. People have been making a lot of appearances in different summits and expressing their concerns where things are right now with energy shortages, right? So it's good that they do that, as well as where that energy is going to be coming from, right? Bharti Enterprise will also contribute 700 million towards undisclosed projects in Nigeria. I have seen some of those undisclosed. So perhaps when it is undisclosed, right? Perhaps, right? So that's me taking a look at what's happening, right? They're gonna be looking for energy generators, right? So they're gonna be looking to improve that. What can be zero emission energy generators, right? And perhaps they're gonna be looking at some of the projects how we can produce energy with zero carbon footprint. So perhaps that would that be undisclosed? I don't know. I don't know. Since I have taken a look at Nigeria and how many solar panels there is within Nigeria, most of those are entry point solar panels, so perhaps not the best, if that makes sense. Lifetime value for those entry level solar panels might not be the best. So perhaps they themselves gonna be looking to work or develop something interesting projects there, where they myself are thought, if anything. So do not quote me on this, right? So where they're gonna be looking at building something new, perhaps, when it comes to energy generators, which potentially generate zero emissions. In mutually beneficial agreement, which is important to mention since a lot of governments might find themselves, especially then they go in the market shopping for perhaps cash or different injections of investment, they not necessarily get the best contracts, right? But from at least this is what kind of agenda they're pushing, that these agreements were multi beneficial or mutually beneficial, right? So hopefully all sides at the table would benefit from this kind of agreements. The Nigerian government has given the nod to a 1 billion partnership with India's government. This deal is designed to bolster defense industrial cooperation of Nigeria with the goal of achieving 40% of self-sufficiency in manufacturing and production of defense equipment with a 3-year time frame, which is very good, as well as with so many different areas to cover and not enough time, right? It's very good that they're investing in that, as well as a lot of governments investing into how we can develop that. And currently, India is purchasing arms or military equipment from US and from Russia, right? So perhaps we can have access to different markets as well. These commitments were formed under the Nigeria-India Presidential Roundtable and Conference with aim to drive global capital into Nigeria infrastructure projects. President Tinubu, who is slated to attend the G20 summit in New Delhi later this week, hosted 3 talks. His attendance at the summit follows innovation from India, the current holders and rotating president of the G20 bloc. So good that they're investing and developing other economies would perhaps if currently some of those economists, top performing economists, have access to a lot of resources. We're looking there to support other would not other governments to develop other governments as well, would not necessarily getting them in the trap of the contractual agreements, which perhaps was done in the past. Tinubu expressed optimism for potential investors, stating that Nigeria offers unparalleled returns on investment. Worth mentioning there's some risk involved. Take a look at the history, right? How politically unstable it can be, which is not a good thing. We need, if we can, as a society, support, not necessarily destabilize different organizations or governments. The West African country aims to focus on investment-led growth, moving away from borrowing to finance its infrastructure and job creation needs. Even I was taking a look at some of the projects out there, even developing something like rail, right? So if other governments, in particular Europe, for some reason, investing so much in that when it comes to developing infrastructure within Africa's continent, right? Some of the rail projects. If you yourself you need to, China knows that with Silk Road right initiative. But if Europe would like to develop some of the rail infrastructure when it comes to perhaps delivering some of the natural resources to the ports, uh, politically, hopefully, more of the governments will be more stable, I guess, when it comes to. I'm not entirely sure what's happening there. Well, perhaps outsourcing even defense to some of the uh, local, not necessarily local, but private companies. Perhaps that's one way to make all continent more stable when it comes to defense, perhaps, right? So they can outsource that, but perhaps from time to time they can build their own military force and be more stable, I guess. That's another way going forward. We are ready to give our best returns for investment possible. There's nowhere else like our country. Returns quoted to Nubo as stating. So, but either way, so it's it might be a trap, but it's for people up there to do their own research to understand that, right? Are there best returns? Perhaps on the paper, right? But if your investment can easily be taken over by so it's either way. So for people out there, for any investors, there are a lot of opportunities there. If you are interested in learning more about your body, Project Fitflow, I have published this book with the key idea of sharing all my expertise when it comes to lifting weights, working out, and developing your body. Putting some stress on your body, right? On how your body can function better when undergoing some stress and how to do it properly. Rest periods, calorie intake, or energy that you would need to consume, as well as different energy sources, and understanding a little bit more about the food, what food is, as well as working out, and how to build those training routines would be very important for the people who like to develop themselves, develop their body, feel better in their body, and where to begin. If it's something that you are interested in learning more, I would highly recommend to you. You can either purchase it with the QR code in the corner or go to the link in the description. Thank you. If anything, let's do a quick summary. Let's take a look at the history and how well this continent was developed so far. Based on historical data, right? If it only this continent only improved by depending on what data people might be interested in taking a look at, it's underdeveloped, right? So it's about 2%. One of the reasons why perhaps still old colonial powers and how much they managed to grab when it comes to political power and the way how some of the continent monetary policy is governed, as well as who's running the different parts of the continent, right? So perhaps there's a lot of obstacles there when it comes to old powers, right? And how slow or why only some of the governments have there got stronger, and why there are so many different opportunities there, but how to work out some of those deals, some of those projects, I'm not entirely sure. Are there risky investments right now which can potentially yield a lot of returns? Yeah, there are many different investment opportunities there. Thanks for watching. See you next one.